Yo, what's up, guys? It's Rebels Connect today, coming to you guys with another Marvel podcast. Today we are joined by Nick, our special contributor for Marvel. Nick, let them know what you got going on, who you are.
So I'm Nick. I live in Orlando right now because I go to Valencia, and I know Dylan from middle school. We do the sports scoops together, so obviously you guys probably know that by now. And I met Gabe a few years ago, probably playing basketball. I think known him for a while too. So kind of excited to get this whole thing going.
All right, guys, today we're going to be doing a bunch of different Marvel topics. To start it off, we're going to talk about our thoughts on episode 4, the most recent episode of WandaVision. Who wants to start?
Yeah, so how I feel about it basically is I'm hoping that we go away from the sitcom style and we're starting to get a little more serious because, you know, I was mentioning to my roommates while we were watching it together. I said you could see the cracks, like, in Wanda as we progress, so I'm hoping that, like, we move into a more serious story. And I'm assuming that this all leads into the next phase of movies. But I really like how they went back to Captain Marvel and showed off, I think her name's Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I think she has a nice character. My boy Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I love that, man. I think he's hilarious. But I'm hoping this all leads into the next phase of movies, which I really think it is. I think it's going to directly correlate with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I feel like we're going to see definitely the fallout of what happened at the end of WandaVision, which we don't know yet, obviously, and it's lead right into Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. One of the things that I really loved in the past episode is how they kind of made it chronological order, and they made a great use of running time because one of the main issues with it's not really an issue, but they have like a 7-minute outro like with the credits. And they make a great use of time with it, like just 22 straight minutes of screen time. And they're answering every single question from chronological order. You know, why that man, like, emerged from the sewer in, I believe, episode 2. And all the things that we saw in the previous episodes, how they just answered it. Like, what was the reason why that showed up? And even though that was kind of the reason why we all thought it was, like, especially at the end of episode 4. But it just did a great way of answering each question. It was also cool because I don't know if it was previously announced in any other Marvel movies before, but I've never heard of Sword. I don't know if you guys have, or I thought it was just straight up S.H.I.E.L.D. And it was cool that they're introducing more branches of that part of the government. And it was really cool things that they brought up and the way that they answered each question. It was good. It was a great way. I love this episode, and I can't wait till this Friday until we watch it. Episode 5.
Yeah, so I got similar thoughts. I think from episode 3, after watching episode 4, I think what Herb was going to tell Vision is that they are all trapped. Because he was like, we are all trapped in Westview, because I think this is all in Wanda's head. She's controlling everything. She's controlling Westview. She's doing it all. Something I got from TikTok, shout out TikTok, even though I shouldn't be on that app. Fantastic Four. I'm a big Fantastic Four guy. I think there was a subtle hint to them in episode 4. The general that was talking to Monica Rambeau referred to astronauts, that they still have some astronauts left, but most of them were wiped out or something like that. Fantastic Four were originally astronauts. So what I'm thinking is maybe, because by the end of the series, I think we all can agree that Wanda's going to lose it. Wanda's going to go crazy. She's going to open up the multiverse, and that's how it's all going to lead into, we'll talk about it later. I think when she opens up that multiverse and all that, what do you want to call it, the energy that's in the multiverse, maybe the Fantastic Four are in space during that, and that's how they get their powers and their mutant, whatever you want to call it. I think that'd be dope. Some other things from this episode: the return of Darcy Lewis, I believe, from Thor. Yeah. Love that character. Jimmy Woo, Ant-Man ended up teaching him the card trick. You know, that was so dope. Getting to see the backstory of Geraldine, Monica Rambeau, was super cool. Like Nick said, from Captain Marvel. So very good episode. I'm looking forward to Friday.
A moving thing that I'm expecting is for Vision to get more suspicious of what this world is. You know, each episode he kind of gets more suspicious, like, oh, what's happening here? As you saw in episode 3, he asked, you know, the neighbors, what was going on. Obviously, he doesn't know what's happening, obviously, because Wanda's the creator of this world, and she's created, and he doesn't know what's happening. And I feel like each episode is going to grow more suspicious. Another thing that I feel is that each episode they're going to answer questions that we have, and also they're going to put up more questions that we're going to keep questioning ourselves. And I feel like that's a really cool way to make a series that has good longevity, because it makes you satisfied with the answers with the questions that they answered, and also the questions that they brought up. because you want to keep watching it, and they're doing a really good job with that. Also, what Nick said with the sitcoms, if you saw the trailer for episode 5, they're actually still kind of using it because it's kind of like a timeline with the settings. I think this next episode is probably more 80s instead of be 90s, and the typical stereotypical sitcoms that were during those decades. It's going to kind of be like that. I also predict maybe like halfway to the end, they're going to allude it to the next Spider-Man film, and just have a lot of really cool blown out of proportion ways that they can like just use it to connect the MCU for Phase 5, and I'm really excited for that.
So to piggyback off your point about Vision, I really think that Vision and Wanda are going to fight by the time the last episode comes around. Because, I mean, just think about it. Like, you could tell that he's probably not with Wanda wanting to, like bring him back and control everything around her. So I think he's going to try to convince her to stop, and then she's going to get pissed and they're going to get into a huge fight. That would be amazing.
That'd be dope as fuck.
Yeah, dude. I'm not sure how many episodes we have left in the series because
I think there's 8.
Sure. How many? 8 episodes?
I believe it's 8.
8?
So we only have 3 left, you're saying?
It's either 8 or 10. I don't think it's 12.
Yeah. Because if I remember correctly, Kevin Feige said that we're going to be going straight from WandaVision into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier is supposed to release in March, so...
okay.
I really think that Vision and Wanda are going to get into a huge fight. Obviously, Wanda's going to win because she's, like, psychotic. Yeah. And when I think about it, I don't think Wanda's going to make it to the next phase of movies. We're in Phase 4 right now, correct?
Yeah,
I don't think she's going to make it to the next phase of movies. I think that they're at the point where they're just going to have to kill her, like... when everything's said and done. That's my early prediction, I would say.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, definitely a hot take.
I think Vision, I don't know if people have really talked about this. I don't think Vision is alive.
I don't think so either.
I think Vision is there. Like, he's alive, but he's not. You know what I mean? Like, Wanda is controlling him and has brought him back to life and has brought his back to life. Like that, like, what, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I guess the corpse of him that we saw in Infinity War when he died, when he turned gray and he had the crack in his head because the stone was taken out. We saw that in the end of episode 4 or 3? 4. So I think that's what he actually is like. But to go into a bigger topic for us, still regarding the future of the series, Elizabeth Olsen recently was in an interview and said that we can expect a cameo surprise by the end of the series on the same scale as Luke Skywalker and The Mandalorian. I'm going to quickly go into my thoughts and you guys can give your thoughts. I think the most obvious choice would be Doctor Strange, but I don't think that's on the scale of Luke Skywalker. I think we're just going to see
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I think we'll just see him like as a character that's going to show up. I don't think it's going to be the character that shows up. I've heard Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'd be down for Magneto. I'd be down for Professor X. Nick, who else did I say to you last night?
I think that was it. I'm pretty sure that was it.
I think that was all.
I'd be down for Magneto. That would be because, like Nick and I talked about last night, we're both pretty big into the X-Men, and I'm just getting into the recent releases of the X-Men, and like seeing Magneto would be dope.
My thoughts on that, I was going to ask you guys, let's make one solid prediction on who you guys think it's going to be. Dylan, you make a prediction. Gabe, you make a prediction. I'll make a prediction, and then like we'll come back to this in the future and see who was right.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it's Magneto. I think it's probably not going to be him because I think we're still far away from the X-Men in the MCU.
Yeah.
I really think it's going to be Tobey Maguire. Now that I've thought about it, that's like a perfect introduction to him being in the MCU only for, a quick few minutes. We're going to talk about that later when we talk about Spider-Man 3. If it's Tobey Maguire, I think he'll fit perfectly into, what's going on because obviously Wanda knows who Spider-Man is. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is in the universe. So she's going to be a little confused and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, my prediction, honestly, I was going with Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire would be really cool. That's my prediction. But Magneto would also make a lot of sense because I didn't know this, but recently I found out actually in the comics, Magneto is actually supposed to be the father of Wanda.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this. So I don't know if they're going to try to do that to kind of connect it. I think that's kind of a little push, and I feel like that's be kind of weird for it to be automatically. But that'd be pretty smart if they kind of introduced him and maybe made it like a reoccurring plot that makes us want to find out more about their connection. For more Marvel fans that don't know that he's the father for in the comics. But my guess is definitely Tobey Maguire, and I'm strong on that. But I think that they can they're probably like blue balling us and saying that and giving us this idea, but it could be maybe even Doctor Strange.
I hope not. I really hope not.
That'd be dope. That's just way too predictable in my opinion. And that's already something we know. I definitely think it could be Tobey Maguire for the little pop-up cameo, and that's my prediction. Dylan, what's yours?
I agree that Doctor Strange is a bit too predictable because of the multiverse, and knowing that it directly ties into Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness, I gotta go Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I think that it makes the most sense. I think when Wanda opens up the multiverse, whether it's a quick cameo, whether it's a couple minutes, we're gonna see Tobey Maguire Spider-Man somewhere doing something in the multiverse, whether he comes to where Wanda is to save Vision or something, or whatever it is. I think it's going to be Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and it's going to, because WandaVision is also directly connecting to Spider-Man 3. So we're going to talk about Spider-Man 3, but I think it's obvious from all the reports that have come out that there's going to be a multiverse in this movie.
Yeah.
Because of Doctor Strange and because of what's going on in WandaVision. I think they can't just really rush in Spider-Man 3, introducing how the multiverse opened, because obviously in Far From Home, nothing multiverse happened. So I think they need to include Spider-Man in, whether it's WandaVision or Doctor Strange, they need to start including stuff regarding Spider-Man.
That'll take a big portion of the movie explaining how the multiverse happened, so I definitely agree with you on that.
So I think they need to start it now before the movie comes out so the plot will make sense to everybody, you know? So I'm taking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man as my prediction.
And also, to piggyback also off of Magneto, if you go back in the interviews with, God damn, I forgot his name.
Paul Bettany?
Paul Bettany, there you go. I called him Bentley. But Paul Bettany, he said in the interview that he's never worked, saying about he's never worked with this actor before and he's really famous. A really obvious characteristic of Paul Bettany is that he's British. What's really important about that is I'm assuming that one of the actors he looks up to who's also a very famous English actor, Ian McKellen. And who's Ian McKellen play? He plays Magneto.
Okay, so right now we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 3, and I'm kind of nervous for this movie, honestly, with all the rumors and reports. If this movie does not live up to the expectations, dude, it's going to be the worst thing for the MCU possible.
I agree.
I think this is going to be the biggest movie in MCU history. I think it's going to be bigger than the Avengers movies just because of how important it is. I'm kind of nervous about this portion of the movie, how we're going to fit everybody in screen time, basically. Like you said earlier, I hope they introduce the multiverse before Spider-Man 3. I don't want it to be another situation like the original Spider-Man 3. I'm not really a fan of that movie, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I think there was too much going on. There was too many storylines trying to interloop into each other, which the MCU is really good at. So I'm not really as worried as I should be, or as I say I am. They definitely have to figure out a way to make everybody work together, because if there's going to be Tobey Maguire and Andrew, what's his last name again? Garfield. It's going to be hard to fit everybody's screen time together. We also know Doctor Strange is going to be there. I think this is the most important movie in the MCU and Sony relationship, because, I'm not sure if we're going to get the classic Spider-Man villains or we're going to get MCU villains. So I think what happens in this movie is going to shape the MCU for years to come.
I'm so happy you brought up those points, because those are exactly my worries for this movie. But I'm not as worried as the screen time, because we kind of have evidence that they can do that. If you look at Infinity War and Endgame, they've done it before on the biggest scales. Fitting each character perfectly. Especially Infinity War, they did that perfectly. I have so much respect for that movie and how they fit every single character, and high budget actors. These are really big actors, and making them really just click. And I think that they can do it again, but that's definitely my worry, because if they screw it up, dude, I don't think MCU can really live that down, because these are multiple generations of Spider-Man fans, and if you fuck it up, people are gonna be pissed. But I have high confidence. Actually, one of the things that I saw today that really interests me is the villains. So I've been hearing everywhere that, Doc Ock is coming. Electro, obviously, is Jamie Foxx. That one's confirmed. I saw today, I don't know if you guys knew this, but you know who plays the Flash in the new Spider-Mans right now? I don't know his name, but he's just the new Flash. Flash. The one in the new Spider-Man? The new Spider-Man.
Flash is DC.
What?
No, Flash, the bully.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, he has an Instagram account, and one of the posts that he did was like this or that, about Ned and his girlfriend. It's because it's supposed to be in Far From Home. It showed him in a Hobgoblin. I don't know if you don't know who Hobgoblin is, but that's Spider-Man's villain. And Ned, his name's Ned, right?
The fat friend?
Yeah,
Sam's Ned.
he's the Hobgoblin. So maybe they get the Hobgoblin as one of the villains for Spider-Man 3. That could be really cool. Also, my thing is, if you're noticing something about the villains, they have a villain from each of the Spider-Man's universe. Doc Ock, Tobey Maguire, Electro, Andrew Garfield. Who's Tom Holland going to be? We don't know. Maybe if all the villains are going to be those three lined up for each, with Doctor Strange, and that Spider-Man and Doctor Strange have to fight. It's kind of like a little mini Avengers. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be fighting the main villains, and that would be really dope. That's my predictions. And this movie, I 100% agree with you. This has the potential to be the biggest movie of all time, just because the fact that it clicks to every single generation. Box office. Like when I said, in the video we did, box office breaker. Like it's not break records immediately.
To go off the box office thing and regarding seeing it, I think I always forget when this is slated to release. But
December.
with COVID though, is it really going to release in December?
There's a possibility.
I mean, I think it's going to be pushed back, and I low key, there's a part of me that hopes it gets pushed back. Because if it gets pushed back enough, hopefully we'll all be in O-Town together and we can all see it together. I think that'd be dope. I'm going to talk about Miles Morales real quick again. I came up with 3 actors who could play him.
Okay.
Caleb McLaughlin, the obvious choice. My guy Jarrell Jerome from When They See Us on Netflix. And this kid named Miles Brown. He's from the show called Blackish.
He's going to be, if I'm making a bet on that, he is going to be Miles Morales. I just wanted to say real quick, I don't think Miles Morales is going to be in the MCU. I think he's going to Sony character. I don't think it's gonna tie in together. I don't know, maybe, because I mean, if I'm Sony and Marvel, it makes sense to tie up the Peter Parker Spider-Man into the MCU, and then you could really rebrand the Spider-Man with Miles Morales on the Sony side, so they don't have to connect.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's a good point.
I don't really like what you said, Nick. I don't really see him going into the MCU like that. Like I feel like. And if he would, I don't know if it's going to be in this. It could be in this movie, maybe. I feel like they're just adding too much. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing him. I'm all for it. The only problem is I feel like they can because they introduced Donald Glover. And I didn't know this last video. I didn't know this for the longest time. Ever since I watched Homecoming, I didn't know Donald Glover's character was the uncle of Miles Morales in the movie, Aaron Davis. I didn't know. I thought it was just some random character. 2 nights ago editing, I found it out. I'm like, holy shit, that's the reason why. A scene where Spider-Man approached him in the garage. He wants to get those guns out of town because he has a nephew who lives near. And it clicked. I'm like, holy shit, he's talking about Miles Morales. And I think Sony will lock him up. But if it does, I'm all for that.
Yeah, if it does happen, it's definitely going to be a post-credit scene type beat. Because that really makes sense if you think about it. You have all 3 Spider-Mans, and then oh my God, there was 3 Spider-Mans. We didn't know that. And then all of a sudden, for Spider-Man discovering his powers in the post-credit scene, that is such a Marvel thing to do. So if that does happen, that's definitely how I vision it. But
also, Miles Brown, he could actually be a good one. Now that I think about it, because
he's the youngest out of all of them.
He's the youngest, and when you bring because I know what he looks like. He kind of looks like one from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He kind of looks like
he's Hispanic too. That's the thing.
Miles Brown is Hispanic.
Miles Morales.
Brown.
No, he's not. But he's like a light skin.
He's light skinned.
Yeah,
because that's my problem with Caleb McLaughlin.
I thought the mom was Hispanic in the
the mom's Hispanic and the dad is
his mom's Puerto Rican. Yes, sir.
Okay,
yeah, and I think they're probably gonna get. I think Miles Brown is probably the more realistic one. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
but sure. I'm super excited for that fucking movie, dude. And I hope, like what Dylan said, maybe if it does get pushed back, we could probably watch it together. Wait, actually, no. If it does come out in December, don't you come down for winter break?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So he'll probably be here anyway. But dude, I'm fucking excited for that fucking film.
I mean, yeah, me too. I didn't really get into my thoughts because we kind of off track.
But
I'm gonna get into my thoughts now. So I think Doctor Strange is obviously going to be in it. That's pretty much confirmed. I think he's going to be teaming up with all the Spider-Mans to go against the Sinister Six. I think those are going to be the villains of the movie regarding all the releases and reports that we've seen. I don't know which Sinister Six we're going to get because there's been so many different ones.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a new Sinister Six. I think that we could see whether it's a cameo, a post-credit scene. Maybe we could see Venom or Morbius make a cameo, Sony's characters, and set up future. Because I think I watched a video today. Tom Holland has a new contract, I believe, and he was only originally signed on for Spider-Man 3 and a team-up movie. Yeah. I think he signed on for a couple more movies now, so I think Sony's going to put up more, and I think that Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to run into Venom or Morbius at some point. And I love Venom 1, and I'm so excited for Venom 2. Maybe we can even see Carnage. Yo, you haven't watched it?
I've never watched Venom.
I haven't either, actually. I really haven't either, to be honest.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, like, I never told myself to. Like, I don't really have the desire to, but I hear a lot of mixed reviews. Some people are, like, saying, oh, it's trash, and some people are saying it's godly. I might watch it later, but yes, sorry I interrupted, but I'd never watched that film.
No, yeah, I heard bad reviews about it, but my brother and I gave it a try, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Tom Hardy as an actor. Shout out Bane.
Oh, yeah?
But,
Mad Max?
Yeah, facts. He did a really good job, and the movie, I think, was just really well put together. But yeah, that's my thoughts for Spider-Man 3, so let's get into the next topic.
Our next topic is going to be something that kind of just been introduced recently, and it's about Thor, Love and Thunder. The other day, I was sitting at home chilling, and my sister just randomly texted me. She texted me a random photo, and it's like screenshots, and it's Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt on set for Thor 4, Love and Thunder. And I'm like, holy shit. And I was assuming that obviously at the end of Endgame that, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy are obviously going to be intertwined with Thor, and so they're going to probably be doing adventures. Again, I'm assuming that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to heavily include Thor, you know, for comedic relief and shit like that, because they were fucking amazing together. And I just saw it, and I expect the Guardians of the Galaxy to be involved in Thor, Love and Thunder. And also, I read about this somewhere. If you look at the screenshots, Thor's wearing a different kind of outfit.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
Yeah, and they're talking about how he might have a new hammer that's called Thunderstrike, and we could probably be introduced to that new fact. That'll probably be more the beginning, you know, a little quest to get his own hammer back, because he already has Stormbreaker. So I'm really excited for this film. Thor Ragnarok is a fucking classic, dude. And that was a big step up from Thor 2, which is probably the worst movie in MCU. I don't know if y'all agree with me, but Thor Lost in the War is probably the most forgettable MCU film that they have. So I'm so happy that they changed directors and they did that. And it's just so funny, and I'm hella excited for this film.
Personally, me, Thor 4, guys, I'm not excited about it at all.
What?
I think the Thor character was kind of like, not ruined, but I feel like they butchered him a lot in Endgame. I do like, you know, using him as comedic relief, but I don't know. Like, I feel like his time in the MCU, it's time to, like, you know, starting to wind down. I think this is going to be his last movie, honestly. I think this is going to be his last movie.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We got an extremely hot take there.
All right, so let me explain why I'm not hot in this character. I feel like he was always a comedy character, right? He could always be a comedy character, but I think they went too far with it. Like, the man's prideful, right? And obviously he was sad that he couldn't kill Thanos, but this is a god, like, losing his way. That's been his whole story arc, but I don't really think it made sense, you know? I didn't like Fat Thor. I felt like it was like, why did you do that? Like, you could have had the same components of Thor's personality as it was in Endgame, but like, he didn't have to be fat. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, let me not piss anybody. Let me not piss anybody off, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, I can't even put into words how I disliked it. I think that in this movie, we're going to see Valkyrie step up. She's going to be like a big time character. I feel like she's going to be one of
the new ruler of New Asgard.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not sure how they're doing Jane Foster, you know, she's becoming Woman Thor. I'm not crazy about that either, you know. I think that once Thor is time, like the original Thor, once he's done, I feel like it should be over. Like, it's time to introduce new characters around different concepts. You can introduce a new character like Jane Foster, which she's not new, obviously, but as Thor. But I want a new concept. You know, I don't want to see another Thor. I want to see something different, if you're trying to, like, understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you. That's an extremely hot take. I get what you're saying with the getting lost in the ways of, you know, Thor being a depressed, fat god. And I do see what you're saying. Endgame, they kind of used him more as a comedic relief, and I wasn't complaining. I thought it was freaking hilarious seeing him obese, and they also did a really cool job with the makeup on being obese, even though, like, we obviously know he's not obese. But the only reason why I don't have an issue with what you said, because you backed it up very well. I'm hella excited for this movie, and Dylan, you please tell us your thoughts on this film. Please not let me feel like I'm the only one excited for this.
No, I'm hyped for this movie. Thor is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Thor Ragnarok's one of my favorite movies ever, and one of my favorite, probably top 5 for me in the MCU. Shout out Taika Waititi. did The Mandalorian, did Thor Ragnarok, doing Thor Love and Thunder.
Just butchered the man's name, bro.
Taika Waititi?
Honestly, bro. Jesus. What was that even try?
Y'all watched it, man. But this guy has no misses. I mean, he's had all good movies. I've watched pretty much all of his movies. They're all good. So I got high expectations for this next movie. We got, I think, Valkyrie is going to be the ruler of New Asgard. Christian Bale has been confirmed to be Gore the God Butcher.
What?
Why are you confused, Gabe?
I did not hear.
Yeah, I heard Christian Bale was confirmed. I didn't know about a character though.
Yeah, Gore the God Butcher, which Jesus. I'm not familiar with, but
I'm not either.
Sounds pretty intimidating. Thor's gonna have a new outfit. Set photos that released the other day that Gabe was talking, or Nick or Gabe was talking about. I saw pictures of Nebula. I saw pictures of Kraglin from Guardians of the Galaxy. Star-Lord, so I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to tie into this directly. And my thoughts on Jane Foster, shout out Natalie Portman, Padme.
He's so fun. He's so fun.
So I think in the comics, basically what happened is Thor loses his ability to lift, what's it called, Mjolnir?
What the fuck?
Mjolnir. And Jane Foster takes on the role of Thor because of that. I think that's going to happen in this movie. I don't know how I feel about it, but... Y'all can't see Nick right now, I don't think, but
Nick is shaking his head so violent right now. He's like,
but that's what I think is going to happen. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I've seen some videos regarding because Thor and Storm are kind of similar.
Yeah.
So maybe we can somehow see Storm show up. I don't know how. I don't know where, when, but I think that'd be dope. Maybe that could be the movie that introduces the X-Men if it's not Deadpool 3. I think this is going to be a good movie. I'm excited for it. Nick's kind of a Debbie Downer, but I understand why he's feeling the way he feels.
So, Nick, I mean, it's lost in the shuffle for me. Like, I just can't see, I can't imagine this movie right now. I think as more information comes out then, because, that's kind of a far time. I'm not sure when it's set to release, but it's a little, it's a while from now. So it feels lost in the shuffle at this point. I feel like it's not as important as the other movies are. As we progress through the next few series of movies, hopefully it leads up to this movie becoming important. And maybe my excitement level will go up because I definitely really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. That is probably, that's my favorite solo movie, I guess I could say.
Really?
Yeah. It was a really good movie. As we progress through the MCU timeline, if they could build up to the movie correctly, then, I'll jump on board, of course, because I think they have great actors, they have a great director, so it should be a good movie. I'm just not too hyped about it yet.
I agree with what you said. It's definitely not as important as Spider-Man because honestly, not gonna lie, I forgot about Thor 4, honestly. I forgot about it, but I'm really excited because honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy, number one, probably my favorite MCU movie. That was like a childhood thing for me. Like I remember in 2014 watching the trailer, going to watch it. I thought it was hilarious. It's still super hilarious to me. That's actually the start of the MCU, of them making the movies that had characters that nobody really knew. I don't know how to get into this. Dylan, you know how last video you said that you didn't have any expectation for Doctor Strange, or you didn't really know what to expect.
I felt the same way about Guardians of the Galaxy because nobody knew who they were.
Nobody knew who they were, and it hit, bro. It hit. It's one of the classics, and I'm super excited for them to be in it. I don't know if all of them are going to be in it. Again, for so far, we've only seen Chris Pratt and Nebula.
Shout out Drax, Dave Bautista.
Oh, Drax, was he on set? What the fuck are you doing? But I'm super excited, bro. Again, hopefully they don't fuck it up, but yeah. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Please like and subscribe. Nick, Dylan, y'all, any final thoughts?
So yeah, obviously, as you guys know, me and Dylan do the Sports Scoops together. He's kind of taking a step back right now to work on his other projects, obviously with you, Gabe. So everybody go check out the Sports Scoops. We got a lot of stuff coming out. NBA, wrestling, we're in WrestleMania season, big time right now. Hopefully, maybe we'll see Gabe on there in a few months. Very exciting stuff coming up, guys.
Yeah, like Nick just said, shout out to the Sports Scoops. Been running that with this kid for a while now. We put out a lot of fire content for y'all. We'd appreciate it if you check it out. We're going to be coming with a podcast soon. More articles on Rebels Connect in the description below. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.